Great morning, great morning, great morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Good morning. Hey, you guys. Come on in, come on in. Let me know who's here. Let me know who is here. Hey, we talking about the chisel, 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 chisel. Hey, Artesia. Good morning, beautiful. You guys come in and let me know who's here. I'm going to share some things with you guys today. Hey, good morning, beautiful. Yes, hey, Summerlin. Hey, Cherie, good to see you. Hey, Alita. So, you guys, I'm going to, and I'm going to tell you guys that, Tammy, I'm not going to be on a super long time. I have class at 9. But I wanted to come on and I wanted to share some things with you. You see, when you give God permission to chisel, when you say, God, chisel me, don't be surprised when you feel the chisel, okay? And the title of today's live is, I felt the chisel. Like, I felt that thing. So yesterday, my dad has not been doing the best. And it was getting worse. And so I had to take him, have the ambulance come and take him to the hospital. And I felt the chisel. Let me tell you why I felt the chisel. I felt the chisel because, one, it's hard to see my dad like that. You know, that's my superhero. You know, it's hard to see him not, really active and, aware and conscious and not conscious, but doing a lot of sleeping. Okay. And then it was hard to watch the ambulance come and put him on the gurney and take him away. Let me tell you what made it challenging for me. In these COVID times, they're not necessarily letting people in. And I'm like, I don't want him there by himself. I don't want that. And so I was fighting that. I didn't want him to have to be by himself. I didn't want to not be able to be there, to be able to answer questions because he can't hear, I didn't want him to be there by himself and something happened, right? And so I felt the chisel. And as I was getting my power of attorney together, you got to take out this paperwork, as I was getting that stuff together, I ran across some other things. And there have been some conversations that my dad and I have had, and I just felt the chisel. It didn't feel good. It hurt. And I was like, God, you just gave me this big project to do, this whole chiseled by God thing. And today, this is what we doing. I've got classes I got to teach. I've got stuff I got to deal with, and we got to go to the hospital. God, what are you doing? What's going on? Well, I said, chisel me. I said, chisel me. It's like saying, purify me, oh Lord, right? Purge me with hyssop, right? Like, I need you to understand that when you are purged with hyssop, it's like taking a laxative, like pushing all of the bad stuff out, right? So in the midst of everything that's going on, I felt the chisel. I felt the chisel when I looked at my kids and I looked at their faces, and I felt the chisel when, I was on the phone and, my ex and my grandbaby was calling to show me the baby. I was like, I can't talk. I gotta get this stuff together. Daddy's going to the hospital. And, I felt the chisel. I felt the chisel when I went to the hospital and was at the emergency room, and they were like, well, he's in a COVID unit, so they're not letting anyone back. I said, well, he can't hear. Like, his hearing is really bad, They're like, well, I understand, but they're not letting anyone back. I felt the chisel. I felt the chisel when I had to leave his hearing aid there, but I couldn't stay there. So the hearing aid has to be his ears for him. I felt the chisel. Now listen to me, you guys. I need you to understand this. When you say chiseled by God, you don't get that way without going through something. You don't get that way without things happening. You don't get that way without challenges being faced. You don't get that way. But can I just say this? If I had it all to do over again, would I say, chisel me, God? Would I open myself up and say, God, here am I, use me. God, here am I, send me. God, here am I, a sacrificial lamb. Would I do it all over again? Would I do it? And the answer is an absolute and a resounding yes, I would. Let me tell you why I would. Because I know that no matter what it looks like and no matter what it feels like and no matter if it hurts, the end result is going to be so worth it. The end result is going to be beyond my imagination. The end result will be mind-blowing. The end result. So what I have to do is fix my eyes on the prize. See, when you're being chiseled by God, you can't get caught up in what's going on around you. You got to fix your eyes on the prize. And that's that end result. That's that chiseled being. That's that one that looks more like God. You see more God showing up in them. That's what you got to do. When I say chiseled by God, I need you to understand that the chiseling is not fun. It doesn't feel good. You may not always like it, but I promise you it's going to get you a result that you would not get if you had not been chiseled. I felt the chisel. I felt the chisel. See, you can't go through this process. Listen, y'all, I want y'all to hear me. You can't go through these the next 10 days and not, well, this is day 2, but and not keep your eyes on the end, on the end result, on the final product, on what's coming at the end. Because if you don't keep your eyes on that, you will fall. You'll fall. You'll fall. And listen, there's nothing wrong with falling and getting back up. I'm just saying that if you fix your eyes on the end, on the final destination, on where you're going, on the end result, on what's going to happen at the end, you'll get through the middle. And that's what often, many times, we get stuck in the middle. We get stuck in the middle. We're stuck in the middle, but God is trying to show us some things. So we have to be willing to submit ourselves unto the Lord. Submit ourselves unto God. Submit ourselves to the process. Because that's what it is. It's a process. And you can't faint in the process. But I felt the chisel. I felt it. I felt the chisel. So what do you do when you feel the chisel and the chisel doesn't feel good? What do you do when you feel the chisel and it hurts? What do? You keep your eyes fixed on the promise. You keep your eyes fixed on the end. You keep your eyes, that's right, fixed on the prize. And there is a great prize at the end. I know that what God is doing in this season is very deliberate. It's very intentional. I remember Abraham was given a promise. Hey, Lisa. He was given a promise of a son, and God told him that you would be the father of many nations. And so he tried to do it. He and Sarah tried to do it on their own, in their own way, make it happen. They created a whole mess and a whole bunch of problems that still dealing with today, right? But then he got the promise. and Sarah was pregnant, and the baby came, and they named him Isaac. And then God said, take that which I promised you and sacrifice it. Take that which I promised you and sacrifice it. So Abraham took Isaac up to be sacrificed. And Isaac looked up and said, Dad, where's the sacrifice? Abraham said, God will provide. And God did provide. Listen, I feel a little Abrahamic right now. You know? Having my dad with me. And yet I had to send him off alone, trusting that God would provide. God would provide the people who would be able to understand him. God would provide the people who would take care of him. God would provide, and he would provide and have to provide without me being right there physically present. But God would provide. God is a God of provision. Anything you need in your life, God can provide it for you. So I'm telling you this because sometimes it gets blurry when you're going through the chiseling, when you're being chiseled. Sometimes it's hard to see beyond what you're experiencing right now in this moment. And it's overwhelming. But if we just fix our eyes on the promise, fix our eyes on God, fix our eyes on the other side, then we can get there. But if we spend all our time looking down, looking around, looking up, trying to see what's happening next, what's going to happen next, what's coming next, we're going to miss it. Don't miss it because you had a crisis of faith. Renew your faith by staying focused on the prize. And remember all the times in the past when he did it, like that's what I have to do for me. So when I start to question God, like, God, what you gonna do, God? What's going on? What you gonna do? I have to remind myself of all the times that God came through for me. I start detailing them. Well, God, I remember, last month. Look, I don't even have to go. I remember yesterday and you just, okay. And the more you detail what God has done in the past, the more you will be able to stand up straight because it builds your confidence because he's got a flawless track record. God's track record is flawless. And so when you begin to look back over your life, when you begin to look back over your situations, when you begin to look back over your challenges, when you begin to look back over your tribulations, when you begin to look back over your trials, when you begin to look back over the other times that you had crises of faith, you needed something. You needed God to be a healer. You needed God to be a deliverer. You needed God to be provision. You needed God to be what peace. You needed God to be your joy. You needed God to be whatever you needed God to be. And you look back over your life and you will see that God has done it time and 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 time again. How can you but put your faith in him? Now listen, y'all may be like, Dr. V, you doing a lot, but listen, I need a lot. I need a lot. See, I need God to restore in me, to renew in me, to revive in me, to strengthen in me. Now you may not need it, but I need it. I need it. So let me remind myself of all that God has done for me, of how God has shown up in my life, of how he has worked out things that looked absolutely impossible and made them possible. God, and I thank you for every time that you came through. I thank you for every time you just listened to me and you heard my prayer and you provided the answer before I even asked the question. I thank you. Spend a little time this morning thanking God for all that he's done and watch what he will do. It's day 2 of Chiseled by God. And I just want to remind you that the chisel You're going to feel that you're not dead. It's a part of being a living sacrifice. You feel it. But God's got it. And God's got you. So if you want to join our Chiseled by God 10-day fast, look on my page. There'll be a link where you can join the group, or just search Chiseled by God and it'll come up. Go ahead, join the group, join the fast. We're doing a 10-day liquid fast. Day two. But this is the other thing. This evening at sunset, we cross over into God's new year. This evening at sunset, we cross over into God's new year as we step into Rosh Hashanah. Baby, it's time. Finish what you need to finish so you can do what you need to do and you can be who God needs you to be. If you want to be a part of the Chiseled by God movement, it's a book come through somebody, but it's more than just a book. It's going to be an experience and a movement. If you want to be a part of that project, if you have a story of how God has chiseled you, or you have a story of how God is chiseling you, and you want to share that story, you believe that it would be a good fit, right? I definitely want you to reach out to me so that we can have a conversation and see if it will fit, if it will work. You all, God is doing something amazing. And I'm telling you, it is not for the faint at heart. This is the time that we've got to gird up our loins. I like when I can talk scriptures. I'll gird up thy loins. What does that even mean? Get your stuff together and watch what God does. Listen, you guys, I absolutely love you to life and life more abundant. Have an amazing, incredible, and epic day. Day 2, Chiseled by God. And in case I don't talk to you tonight, Happy New Year. You guys be blessed. Mwah.